When did you start putting content on YouTube?
YouTube, I don't remember the exact date, but it was quite early. I can't remember if it was the first year or the second year. Uh, but the way it came about. So there's so there was the Sirius XM Fantasy Channel, and then there was an actual television network. There was the Fantasy Sports Network. I think it was like FN. It would take the vowels out,
Yeah,
and yeah, yeah,
FNTSY.
yep, exactly. And there, a guy who's a friend of mine now is Pat Mayo. He was on that network, and we end up getting connected over Twitter. And he's like, "Hey, do you?" Because we brought Pat on to do an interview for our show, and he said, "You guys should be like looking at video." I trying to remember, maybe that's how it started. But anyways, I looked at him as an example, and we knew, okay, we got to get on YouTube. There's not a huge fantasy football presence there. It's going to take a lot of time, which it did. At the beginning, it was the investment of hours and resources financially versus what we were getting out of YouTube was a losing proposition. To the point of the way we first recorded it was there was a program that turned an iPad essentially into the master controller. You set up iPhones all around your wherever. They all record, and you can use the iPad to switch. And then at the end, it all the iPhones send all their data to the iPad, and then you have your big file.
Yeah.
Your what everything is baked in. But we're recording at 11 p.m. and so we would finalize everything, and we would take all the devices. We're at Andy's house. Go hit downstairs to his router, and we would put everything as close to the router as possible because we're just please anything to increase the speed of the file transfer because they're huge files. But that was kind of the beginning of that, and then we learned how to do video editing and studied YouTube, and then over time that finally took off. I mean, that felt like that took probably until year 4 or year 5 before that was really a place of traction where now, when we're putting out episodes in August, they're regularly over 100K views, that's still just a smaller part of the podcast,
Yeah.
but it's a big deal to be able to be on YouTube, which is, you can consider it a search engine, kind of
Yeah,
like
sure.
Google, and so being over there was pretty important, and we knew early it just was going to take a while.